Hello, welcome to today's Talk of the Town. I'm Sandy Benson. Our first guest, Dave Rossell, Professor of Architectural History at SCAD, the University for Creative Careers, and representing WHHI-TV's news partner, Dufusky 360, joins the show today to speak about the Savannah and Low Country Initiative. Dave, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So what is an architectural historian?
An architectural historian is a historian who likes to look at buildings as their subject matter. And buildings are a unique document of the past that get at aspects of people's lives that textual documents aren't always available to get at, and that can't be found out otherwise.
So how can buildings tell stories about the past?
Well, any building is a built object, which involves construction and involves planning and involves actual use and often involves change over time. And all those factors come together to tell a story about when it was built, who built it, why it was built, how it's lived in, and then what changes were necessary as time went on.
And that can roll into understanding an entire culture of a person, correct? Or peoples.
It can. And one of my particular interests has been in understanding Savannah and the Low Country. And I put on a conference in 2007 of the Vernacular Architecture Forum, where we looked at Savannah and the Low Country intensively, and Dufusky Island was one of our main focuses.
Yes.
Dufusky Island is particularly interesting because it has a very strong heritage of the Gullah Geechee culture, which is such a strong cultural tradition along the coast, from the edge of North Carolina to the edge of Florida. And there what we did is we researched the historic architectural remnants of that culture and understand more about the people that built them.
Yes, and so does that carry over into actually preserving structures, say, on Dufusky Island?
Well, my role as an architectural historian is devoted to the history of the building and of the people who built the building and of the time that the building was built. And so I'm interested in that history, and preservationists, architectural history and preservation are sort of collegial fields. Preservationists come in and take over in terms of preserving and then restoring buildings for their continued maintenance and then for their use in the future. And I help preservation insofar as I find out information about buildings, and I support the valuation of buildings and appreciating what their significance is. But then the preservationists come in and actually do the kind of physical work in restoring.
But you can actually help them determine whether or not a building historically would be worthwhile to preserve.
Yes, I can.
Okay.
That's correct.
So where do we go to get more information? That's obviously looks like a very detailed book of not only Savannah and of the Low Country.
Well, this guide is available at Esther Shaver's, a bookstore in Savannah, and then it's also available through my own procurement for you, and my phone number and my email address and so forth are easily available.
Right, and we have those all on the screen.
Right.
So how could we find, say, a worthy subject of our own for architectural history?
Right. Well, I have a doctorate in architectural history, but that's not necessary to appreciate buildings and to go out and actually find stories about buildings that you might live in or know of. And I strongly encourage everyone to sort of appreciate the building that they live in for the stories that it tells about the time it may have been built, the people that have lived in it, your own life, and how it's shaped by the building or how you've shaped the building. And I think that creates a sort of engagement with our built environment and with our own place in the world that's really valuable.
Right, absolutely. And if we were looking for that type of information, is that readily available at libraries or you know, do we have to go to a history section in SCAD, or you know, where would we obtain that information?
Well, there what I would encourage you to do is to check out the SCAD Architectural History blog, which has a variety of articles talking about local architectural features that can then guide you in looking at new sites of your own.
Yeah, interesting. Dave, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you very much.
Great topic.
Appreciate it.
And we will be right back with Talk of the Town.